Muy buenas tardes. Today I'm bringing you a piece of Europe. Which languages do you speak, Mateo?
Romanian, Bulgarian, Turkish, and English.
Ah, bueno, qué bueno, qué bueno. 4 idiomas. ¿Y Marcos?
Romanian, Bulgarian, Turkish, and English.
Because you're brothers. Mateo is the older. What do people need to know to be world smart? You got to know more than the average American knows, right? For instance, let's just say you took somebody from America off the street, say a kid that was 11 years old, or let's say 13, and you plop them right down there in a country of your choice. You say which one it is, and what might be a surprise for the typical American kid?
Well, let's just say Romania. There's a lot more kids playing outside. Another thing is poverty. I can remember sometimes when I would be walking down the street with maybe a bag of chips or something. If I drop a few, there'd be really poor children come up right behind me and pick up the food off the ground and eat it. And I think that things like that a lot of times when you come back to America, if you've been living in America all your life, you don't know how it is in other countries, and when you come back to America, it makes you appreciate America a lot more.
That's a great point, Marcos. Mateo, have you ever had that happen to you? You know what he's talking about?
Yes, yeah, it happens all the time. As far as eating something, people may come up and ask you if they can have some of your food. I also remember like standing up.
Let's be real specific there. When describe such a situation,
Okay, I'll describe a situation.
and which country will it be?
This will be in Bulgaria this time. We had a birthday party, chocolate cake. It was one of my brother's sister's birthday parties, can't remember. And a few days after the birthday party, we hadn't ate all the cake. Cake was old. We threw it away in the dumpster. We're sitting on the balcony
Balcony of what?
in Bulgaria, the apartment, it's like second floor. And we're the dumpster's in our view. We're not, looking at the dumpster, but all of a sudden we see this woman with this little 3-year-old boy, and she picks up her boy, sets him in this big metal dumpster, and he starts crawling around in it trying to find stuff. Well, he finds this cake that we threw away with these party napkins and stuff like that in the same garbage bag. He gets the cake out and the napkins, gives them to his mom. They sit down there right in the middle of the sidewalk, unfold the napkins, get the cake out of the bag, and sit down and have a dinner.
Okay, Marcos. Is it easy, you think, for an American in a situation like that to say, "Oh, those crummy people," and maybe they wouldn't want to be around them?
Well, I can see for maybe for Bulgarians, people that actually live around there and are maybe in middle class or whatever, they actually look down on it because maybe they think they're just trash. But I think any American, if they see something like that, they should have enough compassion in them to be able to want to help them out, at least feel sorry, and maybe want to try to help them in some way.
One of the problems I have seen and been through when I've been with other Americans in other countries, they'll feel sorry for people who are poor and they'll start giving them stuff. Now, this creates a big problem. Mateo.
Yeah, it's really big. Biggest problem is giving them money. And although Americans don't realize it, and tourists, not Americans, just say tourists, in a lot of ways, giving money can hurt a lot more than you think. For instance, in Bulgaria, I remember this boy. This used to be common, not as much now, but when a baby was born, they'd break his legs out, like your knee bends outwards, they'd break his leg inwards and let it heal like that, so he didn't have any movement in his knee. It was just stiff and bowed out like a bow, like a backwards bow, where the kid could only walk around just so he could beg. So people would give him money so he could bring it home so his parents would have money. So, like I said, yeah, money may not be always the best thing, because all of a sudden you're almost supporting.
A very bad habit. Now, guys, you know that some people from that area would hear this discussion, and some of them will probably hear this discussion because thousands of people will be hearing what you're saying. And some people would be saying, our country's not like that everywhere. We've already said the country is not like that everywhere. But because of human need, because of poverty, some people will do almost anything to make a dollar, and it's just good for Americans to be world smart in this way that you're talking. It's okay to feel sorry for some people. That's okay, and to have compassion, but don't think it's your place to give them money because in some situations it's just going to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Marcos, it's not all about poverty though, right? Have you ever seen any people who live in poverty but where you were in the places where you have lived? Did you see people who didn't have very much? They didn't even, in fact, they would have thought that poor people in America are rich.
Oh yes, that's the case most of the time because a lot of times people over there, whenever they think about American, they always think about them rich, which most of the time, when I see poverty in America, it's nothing compared to what poverty is over there. And a lot of times, poverty here would be middle class over there.
Oh, that's pretty strong words.
Yeah, especially in the early 1990s when I was first over there. Middle class was now which would be considered poverty over there, but everything was different. You'd go to the store, you wouldn't buy a whole loaf of bread. You'd buy so many grams of bread. They'd cut the bread for you. If you wanted 300 grams, and they'd cut the bread, put it on the scale, and that's how much you'd get. You wouldn't buy a whole pack of cigarettes. You'd buy 2 or 3 cigarettes. I even remember one of my friends, his dad owned a store, and every week the beer came in glass bottles. He'd get like a whole carton, and his boy would go back there and pour all that little beer into one bottle. There'd be, I don't know, a few ounces or whatever.
No, wait, I'm not following you. There's some beer left in each one after you got done drinking it?
No, well, they're all glass bottles, so if you bought a beer, 2, 3 beers, then you have to bring it back to the store. And so at the end of the week, his beer case would be full, so his son would go in there and pour all the remaining beer into one bottle. The few drips, just the little residue, whatever that was on the rest of the bottle.
So in other words, he had a case of 24 empty bottles of beer or something like that, and then there were just drops left over, and he would pour them into one bottle and get a total of
a few ounces. Go outside. I can remember all of us boys back then sit around the table and all of us taking a little swig of this. Think of it now, it's disgusting to think who else drank those bottles.
Now, guys, were you able to enjoy people who didn't have very much? Were they good people? Because, it's sounding kind of like maybe this is somebody nobody would ever want to be around.
No, actually, these people, as far as the Turks, not the Romanians, but...
Wait, explain. Turks, what are you saying?
Okay, well, you have the Turks, which are the poor people, gypsies, that came over when the Muslims invaded. So they're what's left over of that invasion.
And this is in Bulgaria or Romania and other European countries.
Yeah, and they will, as far as if you befriend them and stuff, they will give you the shirt off your back.
Their back.
Their back.
Well, it would be kind of nice if they let you keep the one you have on. Very nice people.
Yeah, but you walk into their house, they won't have anything at all. And as soon as you walk in, they'll want to feed you. They want to be the best host that you've ever had. They'll go borrow money from their neighbors if they have to go to the store, buy you cookies.
Even though they know that you've got more than they've got.
Yeah, I mean you've got more money in your pocket than they probably make in a month.